Ever wondered how some people can walk into a room and instantly command attention? Or how your favorite teacher used to get the class excited about learning? The secret lies in understanding the 6 types of social power. In this video, we'll break down the bases of power identified by psychologists John French and Bertram Raven, and we'll see how you can apply them to your own communication to become more effective. In 1959, two social psychologists, John French and Bertram Raven, published a game changing paper called The Bases of Social Power. They identified 5 distinct ways people influence each other in social situations. And later, Raven added a 6th way. Over the decades, this framework has become a go to resource for leaders, managers, and anyone looking to up their persuasion game. Chances are you have certain types of power you're more comfortable using and others that you fail to leverage effectively. So let's dive in and see how you can leverage these 6 bases of power more effectively in your own communication. The first is probably the most straightforward type of power. Imagine your boss tells you if you nail this next project, there's a bonus with your name on it. This is reward power in action. This is when people comply because they want something that you can give them, like money, promotion, or praise. But here's the catch. A classic study by DC found that if you overuse rewards, people will lose intrinsic motivation. They start doing things just for the carrot, not because they actually care. So use reward power strategically. Don't let it be your only trick. On the flip side of the coin, we have coercive power. Remember when your parents would ground you for breaking the rules? That's coercive power. When people do things because they want to avoid punishment or negative consequences. And it's not just parents. Bosses can dock pay, teachers can put you in detention, governments can throw you in jail. While the threat of the stick can be motivating in the short term, it can also breed resentment in the long term. In fact, a study by Kipnis found that leaders who use coercive power more often are more likely to be disliked and distrusted. So use this one sparingly. But power isn't always just about carrots and sticks. Sometimes it's about the position you hold. If you've ever followed orders from a police officer or deferred to a judge's ruling, you've experienced legitimate power. This is the power that comes from being in a position of authority. A famous experiment by Stanley Milgram found people will obey authority figures even if it goes against their moral beliefs. That is some serious power. But as Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility. Use your legitimate power for good and don't let the badge go to your head. Of course, authority isn't everything. Sometimes the pen is mightier than the sword. In many situations, knowledge is a more effective form of power. When you're the go to person on a subject, you have expert power. It's why we trust our doctors, our mechanics, and that one friend who's always up on the latest tech trends. But here's a fun fact. A study by Hoffling found that nurses were willing to administer a dangerously high dose of a drug just because a doctor ordered it over the phone. This was even true when the dosage was clearly incorrect. We tell ourselves, well, that doesn't seem right, but they're the doctor. They probably know better than I do. That's the potency of expert power in action. But knowledge alone doesn't always cut it. To really influence people, you also need to connect with them. We've all had a teacher or a coach who we'd do anything for because we just look up to them so much. That's referent power. This is a form of influence that comes from being likable, relatable, and admired. But building referent power isn't just about being a people pleaser or telling people what they want to hear. It's about being authentic, empathetic, and leading by example. It's what happens when we genuinely care about other people. And sometimes that means telling them a hard truth or giving them advice they don't want to hear. So that's 5 types. And the final type of power is one that actually disappears as soon as you use it. If you've ever found yourself in possession of a secret that other people are dying to know, you've had informational power. This is the form of power that comes from having access to knowledge, data, facts, or gossip that other people aren't aware of. Think about that Nicolas Cage movie, The Rock, where they get Sean Connery out of prison because he's the only one who broke out of Alcatraz and they need him to tell them how he got out. That's informational power in action, and it can be very, very strong. Of course, as soon as you give away the information, the power is gone. So you have to use this one very strategically. Okay, so those are the six bases of social power. And of course, the most effective way to use these is by combining them together. When you can bring all six of these to bear on a relationship or a situation, you're going to have the most leverage possible to influence the other person's decision making. And if you want to learn more about the science of social influence, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep using your power for good.